See, it started at the park, used to chill after dark. Ooh, when you took my heart, that's when we fell apart. Cause we both thought that love would last forever. Last forever. Two beautiful girls, that's why it'll never work. You have me suicidal, suicidal.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Our group will make a presentation about our company. So first of all, I will talk about introduction. Our group has chosen Apollo Food Holding Berhad for our report because this company is related to hospitality industry. This because this company have an advantage in hospitality industry. Financial ratio and focus are important in this company because can be used to help forecast how this company will perform in the future. We also choose Berjaya Food Berhad for our report. This is because this company is easy for us to get company information. We also choose Berjaya Food because the company has established 3 large companies that are popular among all age and has grown so much that the fierce competition with other companies make us interested in choosing that company. Next, background of the companies. On 21 October 2009, Berjaya Food Berhad was established in Malaysia. On 3 December 2009, Berjaya Food Berhad became a public limited company. And on 8 March 2011, it was listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. Berjaya Roaster Sdn Berhad was purchased as part of the SIM listing and became a wholly owned subsidiary of B Food in January 2011. The Kenny Rogers Roasters restaurant franchise in Malaysia is being developed and operated by B Roasters. Berjaya Food Berhad has grown into a well-known company in Malaysia. Next, Apollo Food Holding Berhad was founded on 5 March 1994 as a private limited company. The company subsequently converted as a public listed company on 8 September 1994 and was listed under consumer sector in Bursa Malaysia. The company was located at Johor Bahru, Johor, Malaysia. The company operates by 2 segments, which investment and manufacturing sector. The company subsidiary which Apollo Food Industries Sdn Berhad are engaged in manufacturing sector and Hub Huat Food Industries Sdn Berhad are engaged in an investment holding company. The ultimate holding company is Keynote Capital Sdn Berhad.
Ratio analysis and trend analysis. Ratio analysis can be defined as the process of financial ratio that are used for indicating the ongoing financial statements of a company using few types of ratio such as liquidity ratio, activity ratio, leverage ratio, and profitability ratio. Ratio analysis can map how a company to another within the same industry. Next is, as you can see the statement below, that is the Apollo Food Holding Berhad statements of financial position as at 30 April 2020. In the statement, you can see the non-current asset, current asset, total asset, and total equity. After that, this is statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income for the financial year ended 30 April 2020, which is we can see the total of revenues, cost of sales, other income, distribution costs, and the other expense in 2019 and 2020. Next is trend analysis of Apollo Food. There are 2 types of ratio, which is in 2019 and 2020. The first row is liquidity ratio. In these 2 years determine a company abilities to cover short-term obligation. Current ratio in 2019 was 15.01, decreased to 1.65. For the leverage or debt ratio in 2019 was decreased from 0.07 to 0.05 in 2020. Then the debt equity in 2019 was 0.05 decreased to 0.06 in 2020. Last but not least is profitability ratio. Return on equity in 2019 is 0.03 decreased to 0.02.
Okay, next. So this is statement of financial position in Berjaya Food Berhad 2019 and 2020. We can see the asset, current asset, total asset, and total equity. Then, this is ratio and trend analysis Berjaya Food Berhad 2019 and 2020. Ratio analysis is a qualitative method of gaining insight into a company's liquidity, operational efficiency, and profitability by studying its financial statements such as the balance sheet and income statement. Ratio analysis is a cornerstone of fundamental equity analysis. that we can see the interpretation is Berjaya Food profit margin in 2020 is 1.38% was greater than 2019 is 5.9%.
About the comparative analysis of Apollo Food and Berjaya Food in the year of 2019. First is liquidity. There are three sections in liquidity, which is current ratio, quick ratio, and net working ratio. As you can see in the table and graph, Berjaya Food is higher than Apollo Food. Second is activity ratio. In this part, there are 5 sections, which is asset turnover, AC receivable turnover, average collection period, inventory turnover, and fixed asset turnover. All of them shows that Berjaya Food is higher than Apollo Food, but exclude for average collection period, which is Apollo Food is higher than Berjaya Food. Next is leverage or debt ratio. 3 sections has been divided in this part like you can see in the table. First is debt ratio, second is debts to equity, and last is time interest earned. 3 sections in this part shows that Berjaya Food is higher than Apollo Food. The last is profitability ratio. There are 5 sections, which is return on equity, return on asset, gross profit, operating income, and net profit margin. All of them shows that Berjaya Food is higher than Apollo Food, as you can see in the graph.
Comparative analysis of Apollo Food and Berjaya Food in the years of 2020. The first type of ratio analysis is liquidity. There are 3 sections in liquidity, which is current ratio, quick ratio, and net working capital. As the table and graph show that Apollo Food more the highest than Berjaya Food. Second types of ratio is activity ratio. Activity ratio divided by 5 sections, which is asset turnover, account receivable turnover, average collection period, inventory turnover, and fixed asset turnover. The 5 sections show that Berjaya Food is more the highest than Apollo Food. Third is the leverage debt ratio. There are 3 sections are provided. First is debt ratio, second debt to equity, and third is the time interest earned. All of them show that Berjaya Food is the highest than Apollo Food, but exclude for time interest earned that show Apollo Food is the more highest than Berjaya Food. Last but not least is profitability ratio. There are 5 sections, which is return on equity, equity on asset, gross profit, operating income, and also net profit margin. As you can see in the graph and table, all of them show that Berjaya Food is the highest than Apollo Food.
Overall analysis, COVID-19 has affected nearly every business in the world almost a year into the pandemic, but performance has varied widely even within countries and industries. Because of the Malaysian Movement Control Order, both Berjaya Food Berhad and Apollo Food Holdings are unable to operate as usual. From what has been studied through comparative analysis between the two companies, it's clear that Syarikat Berjaya Food was more stable than Apollo Food Holdings Berhad when the impact of COVID-19 was hitting. For example, the comparative analysis that was done for the two companies during COVID-19 was in terms of inventory turnover. Syarikat Berjaya Food inventory turnover was higher, which is 21.33% than Apollo Food Holdings, which is 9.10%. This clearly shows that Syarikat Berjaya Food was more effective in product output and sales than Apollo Food Holdings. Syarikat Berjaya Food gross profit was higher, which is 44.10% than Apollo Food Holdings, which 0.25%. It is clear that Syarikat Berjaya Food is more efficient at doing net sales volume when COVID-19 is hitting than Apollo Food Holdings. In conclusion, if I were an investor, I would choose to invest in Syarikat Berjaya Food. This is because the company's ability to produce goods and make profit while dealing with a pandemic is very impressive, attracting investors to invest in the company. The gross profit margin ratio, calculated as gross profit on sales, is a measure of a company's financial health. A higher gross profit indicates that you can make a decent profit from your sales. This is our appendices that we choose is the Apollo Food Products and Berjaya Food Products Company for our group assignment.